Nothing obvious went wrong. They texted when they said they would. They remembered the small things. They made room for you, without making you compete for it. And that was when you started pulling away. And that was when you started pulling away. Maybe you started answering a little more slowly. Maybe their attention started to feel too available. Maybe you started noticing flaws that never bothered you before. The way they laughed, the way they dressed, the way they worded a text. And you told yourself it was a loss of chemistry. And maybe it was. Attraction can't be argued into existence. Someone can treat you well and still be wrong for you. But if the urge to escape showed up almost exactly when their care became consistent, another possibility deserves your attention. When someone is uncertain, unavailable, or hard to read, the relationship gives you a task. You get to pursue them, interpret their messages, wait for a sign, imagine what it could become. Try to become the person they finally choose. You can feel so intensely, while revealing so little. Most of your attention stays on one question. Can I get close enough to be wanted? But consistency removes that task. When someone is already showing up, you don't have to win their attention anymore. Now there's a different risk. You have to let their attention actually reach you. So the question is no longer, will they choose me? It becomes, what happens if they actually know me? Can I express a need without feeling weak? Can I receive care without immediately having to pay it back? Can I stay present when there's no chase, no ambiguity, and no fantasy protecting me from the reality of the relationship? What changed was not the person. What changed was the distance. For some people, this is when protection shows up. And it may not feel like fear at all. It may feel like discernment. A sudden numbness, a need for space, a growing list of small irritations, a comparison with someone who once made you feel more intensity, a quiet certainty that something is missing. Sometimes that certainty is accurate. And sometimes, fear has just learned to sound reasonable. The protective logic might be, if I find the flaw first, I won't be disappointed later. Or, if I leave before I need them, I'll still be the one who can walk away. That history matters. Distance may have once helped you preserve your dignity, your freedom, your ability to recover when care was unreliable. But the intention behind a protective move is not always the message the relationship receives. Inside, you might mean, I need time because this matters. What they receive is, your care is unwanted. Inside, you might mean, I'm trying to figure out if this is safe. What they receive is, you're being judged by rules you cannot see. And that difference matters, because the other person can only respond to the behavior that reaches them. They cannot respond to a fear you never name. So they become uncertain, they offer less, they stop initiating, they start protecting themselves too. And then the original fear returns as evidence. See, people always change. But sometimes, the protection helped create the distance it predicted. This doesn't mean every stable relationship is right for you. Consistency is not compatibility. A person can be reliable and still be unable to meet an important need. You may want different lives. The attraction may genuinely be absent. A boundary may truly be necessary. The goal is not to force yourself to stay because someone is kind. The goal is to understand what changed before you make a permanent decision. So start by separating three things. What happened, what you felt, and what you predicted would happen next. Let's say they ask if you want to see them next weekend. That's what happened. You feel pressure. That feeling is real. Then your mind predicts obligation, loss of freedom, being trapped in something you won't know how to leave. That prediction matters, but it is not the same thing as the invitation. When the event, the feeling, and the prediction collapse into one, escape feels like the only honest response. Separating them creates another possibility. You don't have to choose between total closeness and total distance. You can make a smaller move. You could say, I like where this is going, and I notice I sometimes become distant when things start to feel real. I want to slow down, rather than disappear. Or more simply, I need an evening to myself. I'm still interested. I don't want my silence to suggest otherwise. Then, pay attention to what happens next. Does the other person respect your pace? Can they receive honesty without turning it into pressure, punishment, or a demand for certainty? Their response is information. If honesty is met with coercion, contempt, or repeated boundary violations, distance may be the healthier choice. But if honesty is met with patience, you receive something your protective reflex could never collect while leaving. New evidence. The goal is not to stop protecting yourself. It is to notice protection before it silently creates the outcome you were trying to avoid. You do not owe closeness to everyone who treats you well. But you owe yourself a clearer question. Am I leaving because this relationship is wrong? Or because, for once, it is close enough to reach me?